I love Halloween. From the candy, to the ghosts, to the candy, to the monsters, to the candy, to the horror movies that we still regard as classics. Oh, did I forget to mention the candy? Halloween is one of the most celebrated holidays of all time, and for good reason. And one way we all like to celebrate Halloween is to watch as many specials and movies as we can. Often, when people think of animated Halloween movies, they think of Charlie Brown. But they also think of Tim Burton, who practically nailed this holiday with his own style that was brought into stop motion. And that's why I'm here today. Today, I'll be looking at the best stop-motion Halloween horror movies. Now before I begin, keep in mind that this is all my personal opinion, so feel free to disagree if you want. Just don't be some butt-ugly troll who only wants to cause mischief and dismay. So without further ado, let's do this. Starting at number 5, Corpse Bride. This was Tim Burton's first ever animated film he directed, and despite making it alongside Charlie and the Chocolate Factory at the same time, he managed to pull together a quite unique and gothic movie that I still think holds up to this day for the most part. The animation is just beautiful. It's very spooky and very Burton-esque, as they look like they could only come out of the mind of Burton himself. The voices from Johnny Depp, Helena Bonham Carter, Emily Watson, Tracy Ullman, Michael Goff, and so many more really bring their characters to life by giving their own vibe that I still enjoy listening to. The character of Emily is a rather tragic yet beautiful story arc that I think is quite touching and heartbreaking, and whenever she has time to develop and sing, she really makes the movie for me. Even though Victor is an okay enough character, his determination to set things right for himself and Emily makes him go from okay to very likable and worth rooting. And the ending, despite feeling like a bit of a cop-out from the villain, still feels really satisfying and heartwarming, and is an excellent way to wrap up the film. However, the reason this is the lowest on the list is because most of the characters are either bland, forgettable, or even kind of annoying. I really don't care that much for Victor's family, as the film doesn't give him enough time to be all that interesting or give us anything new about them. The villain Barkus is also pretty weak, as he just wants to marry Victoria just because of her money.
How I love her! Father's money.
Exactly. Part of this is mainly because of the film's short running time, which is kind of disappointing. Not to mention, other than Remains of the Dead and maybe the finale, none of the songs really stood out. Personally, I think Danny Elfman is better at writing music than handling musical numbers. Nonetheless, I still find Corpse Bride to be a satisfying and creepy experience despite its short runtime and majority of bland characters. Next at number 4, Frankenweenie. As Tim Burton's second animated film, this was actually based off of a short film he made back in 1984 of the same name. So fast forward to 3 decades later, Burton decided to redo his short as a 90-minute feature, and the result worked out quite well. For unintentional reasons. Why? Well, here's the thing. The original film worked because it was shorter and it was able to get away with stuff like not developing its characters all that much, keeping the plot straightforward, and make it relatively tolerable despite not being that long. The movie, however, is 87 minutes, and yeah, trying to take that thin plot and putting it in a movie doesn't really work all that well. It's trite, straightforward, and the main characters are still kind of forgettable. However, the reason it works is what they added in. While the main characters like Victor and his family are still kind of bleh, the supporting characters, like Mr. Rizikursky, Edgar, Igor, Nassor, and Toshiaki are quite humorous and threatening, and are really nice nods to horror movie legends like Vincent Price, Bela Lugosi, and Boris Karloff. Also, the ideology of bringing animals to life really shines through in the movie, as the movie explores the different concepts of how it can really pay off, with the numerous creatures being made, and that's where the salute to those classic monster movies really kick in, with the animators never getting afraid to show their talents and creativity. So overall, while the storyline of Victor bringing his dog to life is touching enough, though not really the best part, it's how the movie handles the ideology and the different ways of how the kids do it themselves that really makes the movie work as a nice alterated remake. Yet another example of things working out for reasons different than what you planned out. At number 3, we have ParaNorman.
Can't you be like other kids your age?
Now this is what I call a touching ghost story. The movie touches the theme to not judge others in a manner that's so well done, so deep, and so powerful that I hope anyone who disagrees with that saying will watch this film to get it through their thick skulls. Not only is the character Norman one of the best outcasts written for a movie I've seen, as his reasonings for feeling forlorn make sense as only he can see the dead, but I love how he shifts from weak and angsty to caring and serious to what's around him and the problems he must fix. The rest of the characters are more of a mix. While some like Mr. Prendergast, Norman's friend Neil, sister Courtney, mother, bully Alvin, and Neil's brother Mitch give enough contribution to the plot while also being funny every now and then, others like Norman's dad, the townsfolk, Norman's teachers, and others are just there and I don't really care all that much about them. But the best characters by far are the zombies. At first they seem like typical George Romero creatures, but as the film goes on, we learn more about their backstories and it brings the world to a whole new high. The animation is very unique and threatening, as it showcases what you think when you imagine a mysterious town like Witch Hollow, and the effects animation will always be the highlight for its vibrant and creative colors and elements. I will admit though, one of my problems with Laika is how they handle humor, as their jokes end up being rather hit or miss, with sometimes them hitting well, and other times they don't and they fail to contrast properly. Other than that though, ParaNorman is still a deep, heartwarming, and beautiful movie that is one of the perfect examples of handling a deep message in the deepest way possible. Coming in at number 2, The Nightmare Before Christmas. Even though this movie came entirely out of the mind of Burton himself, he actually couldn't direct it because he was too busy working on Batman Returns and Ed Wood. So he got his buddy Henry Selick to be in charge of the project, and the result is the true animated film that screams Halloween and Christmas. The plot centering around the Pumpkin King of Halloween Town, Jack Skellington, wanting more than the same old thing and finding out something new, so he wants to do that said thing, but then it goes haywire, making him realize the grass is always greener on the other side, has been done before. However, the execution is what makes it work, as not only is it perfectly reasonable why Jack wants something different than the same old thing, but he even explores and discovers some very unique things about the holiday of Christmas, which gives the movie its odd yet unique contrast of Halloween and Christmas. The animation is some of the most creative I've ever seen in any movie, as the numerous creatures of Halloween Town look just like they came out of the mind of an imaginative young lad, and they really translate well to stop motion. The performances from Chris Sarandon, Catherine O'Hara, William Hickey, Danny Elfman, and Glenn Shaddix are superb, as they all give the emotive deliveries from their characters and voices that really fit them well. Plus, Elfman and the others really give the film's timeless songs the spooky memorability of today, as I doubt anyone can get "this is Halloween" or "what's this" out of their head anytime soon. But the character who really steals the show is Oogie Boogie. Even though his motives are never really explained that much, his presence is just frightening from the start, and Ken Page does a fantastic job with this mysteriously eccentric vocal and singing performance. Oh, did I forget to mention that Ken Page also voiced this guy?
Let's make music together. Let's make sweet harmony. Oh, let's make music together, baby. You take the dough, I'll take the ray. You better hang on to me.
Need I say more about this and why it's well praised to this day? It's just all taken care of. Interesting concepts, beautiful and stylish animation, memorable musical numbers, funny characters, Santa Claus with a big-lipped alligator voice ghost. It's the ultimate Halloween guilty pleasure. But we still got one more to go. And the number 1 best stop-motion Halloween film is...
You're just in time for supper, dear.
Coraline.
You're not my mother.
Based off the book of the same name by Neil Gaiman, this was Laika Entertainment's first ever movie, and what a bang to start off with, as it was brought to us by none other than Henry Selick. And he did the movie justice. To me, this is one of the best salutes to those family films from the late 70s and early 90s, the kind that seemed innocent, but were still dark and mysterious and really brought kids to a whole new world of sinister imagination. The animation is quite impressive. It's able to go from a more cute and lighthearted and colorful atmosphere, but then it goes to a more dark and sinister atmosphere, even more than Nightmare, with some very odd character designs as well. Coraline herself starts kinda moody like any other child, but she still remains likable enough to root for, and her encounter with the supernatural makes her become very brave and strong throughout. And Dakota Fanning did a nice job capturing her mannerisms and vocal vibe. Also, the other mother is one of the creepiest villains in cinema history, as she seems trusting at first, but then becomes one of the freakiest creatures ever conjured up in stop-motion cinema. Oh yeah, I'm sure I won't get nightmares from this thing. The other actors such as Terry Garr, John Hodgman, Jennifer Saunders, Don French, Ian McShane, and Keith David are excellent in their roles by bringing their characters to life as much as the animators themselves. And that's why I really like this movie. Its creativity and visual imagery that starts off sweet and charming, but then takes the huge risk of showing freaky creatures to give kids the meaning of fear. And what really helps are the fantastic surreal imagery, the spooky voices, the spot-on music score, and the film's message to appreciate what you have because the grass is always greener on the other side. That's deep, man. This frightening yet well-executed message can stick to any person for how simple yet effective it is, and for its mature honesty. That is why it is, in my opinion, the #1 best stop-motion Halloween film of all time. And that's all I got for the top 5 best stop-motion Halloween movies. Hopefully I got you interested in seeing at least one of these movies. I know for a fact that I will always enjoy these movies no matter what Halloween it is. But please don't be afraid of these things, people. I mean, they're just puppets. Like this action figure. I mean, seriously, they're inanimate for God's sake. I mean, what could they possibly do that's the least bit imitating? Who's got an inanimate, mortal?
Happy Halloween.
Everybody make a scene, trick or treat. Tell the neighbors gonna die of fright. It's our town, everybody scream. This town of Halloween. I am the one hiding under your bed. Teeth ground sharp and eyes glowing red.
I am the one hiding under your stairs. Fingers like snakes and spiders in my hair.